This is the Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus podcast, and I'm your host, Marsha Ogden. Here's a little snippet. So, am I right in assuming that the script writer is now your wife?
Yep.
The lady who sent you the script?
The script writer is now my wife.
Excellent! That's a fantastic story. You should write a script about your life.
Oh.
Or have you done that already? It's lovely to have you here. This podcast is definitely for you if, like me, you're over 50, but again, like me, you're not done yet. Once a week, we'll have a chat about topics that are dear to our hearts as we hurtle towards things like retirement, empty nesting, staying healthy, downsizing. Oh, the list goes on. But all the vocabulary and references will be stuff that we relate to. It'll be a mix of education, inspiration and humour with a dollop of seriousness. Sometimes I'll have guests, sometimes I'll offer freebies or offers, and sometimes you'll just have to put up with little old moi. But first, here's a word from our sponsor. The Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus podcast is very happy to be sponsored by Organic Secrets UK Limited. With a mission to spread the word about natural relief from mental and physical conditions that stop us from living our best life, Organic Secrets is an online supplier of high-quality CBD and supplements. Hop over to www.organicsecrets.co.uk right after this podcast. There's also a link in the show notes. Hello and welcome to episode 55 of the Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus podcast. This one's called The Arts Take 2, an interview with indie film producer Taraq Qureshi. If you've heard the last couple of episodes, you will know that for this series, number 2, year 2, whatever we want to call it, I am taking a leaf from the book of Sesame Street and concentrating on a particular letter of the alphabet. Now, last week we kicked off with A, surprisingly, and that was represented by the arts, alcohol and appreciation. But it didn't all fit into one episode. So this week, episode 55, is pretty much dedicated to the conversation I had recently with indie film producer Taraq Qureshi. Also last week, you had the chance to comment and tag on my podcast posts on social media for a chance to win Stephen Williams' book, Bin Day and Other Poems for Dads, just in time for Father's Day. I'll announce the winner just before the end of this episode. But before we hear from Taraq, here's a reminder about the 2 opportunities to win a Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus selection box. Oh, it's competitions all the way. We're so generous. But you've got to be in it to win it. Here's how. On Apple Podcasts or on YouTube, remembering that not all the episodes are up on YouTube yet, but all the recent ones are, and any that I've made reference to recently are up there too. Anyway, when you've finished listening to this episode, go to Apple Podcasts or YouTube and please rate, review and subscribe to the Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus podcast. Tell your friends too. That's all you have to do to be in with a chance of winning one of these lovely selection boxes, because I'll be looking at the reviews, writing down the names of the reviewers and putting them into a hat. I'll draw a name out and that person will be the proud owner of one of these selection boxes. There'll be 2 chances to win, one at the end of June and one at the end of July. The more listeners we have, the more of a community we can build together, and the more popular it becomes, the more it gets distributed by the technology. So what's in the selection box? Well, it'll be a selection, obviously, of gifts, at least 4 in each box. There'll be something from me, something from Organic Secrets, our sponsor, There'll be a voucher maybe, and who knows what else. I am still gathering prizes in. Now the bit you've been waiting for. Taraq Qureshi lives half his time in Bulgaria and half in London, England. He fits our age profile. He's an indie film producer, an actor and businessman. Our interview wasn't without problems due to the signal. You'll notice that on a couple of words there's a little bit of glitching, but nothing terrible. At one point we did abandon ship and resume again the following day because the signal just dropped completely. But with my seamless editing, you won't see the join, hopefully. Morecambe and Wise reference there. Here's Taraq. Today on the Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus podcast, we are delighted to have with us Taraq Qureshi.
Pleasure to be here, and thanks to LinkedIn for making the introduction.
Tell us where you're from and where you are now.
Presently, my situation is that I'm in Bulgaria by the Black Sea. I've got Greece and Turkey, Macedonia and Romania as neighbors, and the Black Sea as well. And before that, I was living in London. Before that, it was Newcastle upon Tyne, and before that, it was Halifax in West Yorkshire,
right,
where I lived from the age of nine till I was 20, 25, 26. And my education was, I went to went to primary school, did my 11 plus, went to secondary school, and then went to college, and then went to university. And my background's been in computers. Right. I hope you don't mind, and I hope the public don't mind who are watching this. I'm smoking. I'm terrible. I'm an addict. I'm an addict. I can't. I'll admit it. Caffeine addict and nicotine addict, and occasionally occasionally a dram of Jack Daniels with Coke.
Oh, right. I've got some on the shelf behind me here. Really? You can have some. Where were you between being born and being 9 then?
Being born
and being 9 years old in Yorkshire.
Oh, I was born in Africa, in Kenya. My father was born there, and his brothers and sisters were born there. And then when Kenya got its independence, all my family, apart from one aunt and my grandparents, stayed, and we went to Pakistan. And then from there, we ended up in London. And then from London, we moved to Halifax, where my father's two brothers were living.
You're an indie film producer now.
Well, I call myself an indie film producer because it's quite a hip term.
Yeah.
Right? That indie being short for independent. And that came out because the studios in America were looking to expand their product range, and they decided to take on art house movies. Okay, and they had their own specialist division which dealt with that, with budgets below $5 or $10 million, that had known actors in, but the subject wasn't very commercial. It wasn't action or action thrillers, and it wasn't horror.
Right.
Okay, and it was mostly drama. Yeah. A good example is there's this Spanish or the Brazilian director. There's also a good example is Woody Allen. All his films, they're all dramas. Right? There's no action thrillers or shoot up and stuff. But he got his money from investors and not the studios. It was the studios who handled the distribution and sales. Okay, but he got financed and he was able to make 1 or 2 films a year. And then there was all that controversy regarding his adopted children and so forth, etc., etc. And Anyway, so that's where indie comes from. So they weren't really independent because they were financed by the studios. But what subsequently happened is that uh, people who were outside the studio system became known as independents. In other words, they had no parent company looking over their heads like the studios do now, because they're all part of conglomerates like Sony is.
Right.
Sony owns, I think it's Universal or something, right? Disney
Yeah.
owns some uh, other companies, etc., etc. And what happened then was I spent a couple of years doing odd jobs here and there and in London and stuff, and moving from one house to another and being homeless as well with
Right.
my family and so forth. And then I started in 1996, I got a diagnosis, which resulted in me having a lot of time on my hands. So I started pursuing the entertainment industry, I should say. I covered radio, theater, video, films, and stuff. Got my education, spent about 4 or 5 years doing that, and then started working on practical projects, etc., etc. And that's how I developed contacts, network, gained more experience, and so forth. And as a result of that, I am where I am today, where I live
Yeah.
in two countries, Varna, Bulgaria, and London,
How did
England,
Bulgaria come
right?
about?
It came about because the script writer sent me a script. I ignored it. And 2 weeks later, I'm looking through my email and said, oh, I haven't read that. So I read it.
Yeah.
I liked it, right? It was old King Arthur and stuff type of story, and magicians and immortal
Yeah.
people and stuff. Very fantasy mixed with history and stuff, a lot of action, romance and stuff. It looks all right. So I started talking with her and so forth. And my first marriage was on the rocks actually at that time. And we just carried on developing our relationship. And a year later, I ended up in Sofia meeting her for the first time after talking with her on the phone, you know, and then found out she was living in Varna, which is a coastal city, a tourist hotspot, actually. Uh, about 10 or 12 different beaches and stuff, a beach alley, restaurants, port
Wow.
area, right? And it's a bay as well. So there's a bridge connecting the two parts. Beautiful city, actually. You've got the sea and the beaches, and 6 months of the year, you've got sunshine all around. She gets tanned, I get tanned, right? We go down to the beach every single day, spend about 2 hours there, have a swim and just sunbathe and do some work as well. And it's really nice. There's hardly any crime in this city. Yeah, crime. Yeah, you never hear of anybody being mugged or a bank being robbed or a shop or whatever. Never. It's very, very safe and friendly.
Yeah. Yeah. And rare these days as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So am I right in assuming that the script writer is now your wife? The
Yep.
lady who sent you the script?
The
Yeah.
script writer is now my wife.
Excellent. That's a fantastic story. You should write a script about your life.
Oh,
Or have you done that already?
no, I'm actually doing it. I've set myself a period of 6 months from now, from the 1st
Yeah.
of June till the end of 31 days in December, isn't there?
Yeah. Yeah.
In that time to write my book. And I've got
Right.
somebody who's actually said they'll mentor me to do that, right?
Yeah.
They'll help me to do that. So that's great. So
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
going to be doing. I've
brilliant.
already got a name for it. It's called Khan's Kingdom.
Khan's Kingdom.
Khan's Kingdom. That's right.
And what's the relevance of Khan? Where does that come in?
Oh, Khan means is an old name for ruler, a king.
Right.
King's
Yeah.
Kingdom,
Yeah.
Khan's Kingdom.
Khan's Kingdom.
Yeah, the
Right.
most famous
Yeah.
Khan is Genghis Khan and Kublai Khan.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
Oh, I never knew it meant king.
yeah.
Oh, right. Always learning. Every day's a school day. So we'll have to look out for your book next year
Well,
then.
I'll self-publish it. We've already done one, actually. We've already done a book. And it's for young adults.
Right.
No, it's based on our feature films.
Oh, right. Oh, tell us about that.
Yeah, because going back to the romance we started and everything and whatnot, and one thing that attracted me to her, right, other than that she's good looking and intelligent, is the fact that she's written 40 novels,
Wow.
right, based on the story of the saga, I should say, the saga of immortal magicians throughout history to the present
Yeah.
time. 40 books.
Wow.
So what I did, I took the first one, translated it into English, right, and then wrote a screenplay, and that process took 2 years. And that film is currently budgeted at $25 million,
Right.
right? 11 million for the stars, and the rest is making it and stuff and so
Yeah.
forth. And we're hoping to go into production on that within the next 6
Right.
months.
So I take it coronavirus has put a stop to proceedings at the minute then?
It's put a stop to the film
Yeah.
industry like every other industry. So there's nothing
Mm.
unusual about it or peculiar about it. But the thing is, there's so many people involved in the chain, the manufacturing chain, yeah, the supply, the manufacture, the distribution. It has a knock-on effect.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, even from down to the people who just write stories, right? You've got a couple of scripts that you've written, right? Nobody's interested in reading them because they've got projects which have stopped.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
They can't shoot
Yeah.
them, you know.
Everyone's on catch up.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
We've had the advantage of the internet, and I think everyone's had to change the way they work. Particularly actors. I think all the out of work actors, me included, we've been doing monologue competitions and
yeah.
yeah, there's been a lot of stuff around, but just to keep your hand in sort of thing and keep a network. But yeah, I mean, the industry in general, it's just been one heck of a blow, hasn't it? And I don't know how it's going to get back, really, because, you know, like for cinemas, for your films.
My point of view is that they're going to concentrate more on screening now that people have got used to, by default, watching
Yes.
films and entertainment things on their computers, especially,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I think I would say 90% of the households in the UK have smart TVs.
Yeah. Well, I don't know whether it's that
Right?
high, but a lot of people have got the technology.
And maybe about 50% of them have more than one screen in the house, one smart TV in the house, you know, right? And they've got used to it. So it's an experience. And if it's been a good experience, right, they'll do it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll do it again, you know, and that means currently a film, anything over 5 million plus is guaranteed to be seen in the cinema, in the theaters, right? And that means basically then the studios have an option, the filmmakers have an option, right? Whether at the same time they put it in the theater and put it live on streaming, both at the
Yeah.
same time,
Right.
right? Okay, some of the cinemas object because they want first look,
Yeah. Yeah.
because they're going to lose revenue,
Yeah.
right? But there's always a compromise to be made, you
Yeah.
know, and the numbers will show, right? For example, with Zoom, nobody had heard of it. Nobody, right? Nobody heard of Zoom. They all knew of Skype video calling, right? But not this Zoom platform. What was
Yeah.
made by some Chinese guy.
Yeah. It was
right?
very much a business platform, Zoom, wasn't it?
Yeah,
But now everyone's using it. Yeah.
right? Not everyone. There was Google Hangouts and stuff, right? But nobody really bothered using that much because you have to have a Gmail account and video. I don't want to do video calls. I look horrible on camera, you know? Yeah. But look at them. Everybody's doing it.
Well, I think it's been good in a way that, because the director of a Dream Life 50 Plus podcast is aimed at people obviously over 50, and some are a lot over 50 and didn't previously bother with technology, but they have learned, because they've had a reason to see their families and their grandchildren. They've had a reason to learn it. and found it's a lot easier than they thought, and found, you can stream
There's always the barrier to trying anything new.
Yeah.
If you're an inquisitive and intelligent person, you'll do it and see what it's like.
What genre is your speciality for your films? What do you look for?
I currently don't have a speciality. I'm more of a producer and an actor than I am a director. And on the producing side, we're across the board, excluding romantic romances and comedies because they don't travel well. Romantic romance travels. Everybody understands the concept of love, right? But with comedy, it can be peculiar to one culture. One joke is funny in one among one group of people, and the other people find it offensive.
Yeah.
The other people find it offensive. So we do action thrillers, we do horrors, we do dramas, we do sci-fi, right? Across the board, apart from those two particular genres or sub-genres, some people might refer to them as. And I have specialized, going back to your original question, I specialize in niche markets, right? For example, the 50 plus or teenagers, or mothers, right? Those specific needs that people who actually hang out on the internet and are active on social media, because that's where I'm going to get their attention.
Exactly. Yeah.
I won't get it through the newspapers. I won't get it through TV, and I won't get it through magazines or radio, right? I'll get it through podcasts because they'll listen to podcasts with their headphones in, like I've got mine. And so that's what I'm targeting. And the first niche I started with is people who like dance, who dance and like dance films, coupled with salsa music.
Right. Oh, this is the film you made. Was it last year or the year before?
It was made a number of years ago.
Yeah.
It's called Strictly Salsa: The Beginning.
Yeah.
It's currently out now on the Amazon UK, Amazon Prime. It's on Amazon Prime at the moment.
Okay.
Strictly Salsa: The Beginning, and we've got a sequel in the works, and that's going to start shooting hopefully this year or next year.
Right. And are they in the English language?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, well, I'll find the Amazon link and stick it on there then. Stick it on the show notes and we can have a look.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot of music by one particular artist who appears in the film.
Yeah.
And is part of the team. And the rest is a little romance as well, and a competition and rivalry between two salsa teams. And the story came about because we took up salsa 7 years ago, me and the wife.
Yeah.
We did it for 2 years, and we said, how about making a film out of it? So we decided to do a web series when they were quite new.
Yeah.
And then we thought the amount of money, time, and effort we're going to spend on a web series, we might as well make our first feature film.
Yeah.
And we'll make a web series after that, which we did as well. But that one's in the Bulgarian language.
Right.
With what we've made, I need to mention this, with what we made, it was just a silly idea somebody came up with in the team, and we went out and shot it, right? Okay, and it's about these two big muggers, right? Robbers, you could say, bandit, right? Who tried to rob a young kid. Yeah. And he's carrying his bag, and they say, what you got in the bag? So he sits down on a park bench, right? He's walking through the park. He sits down, and he opens up his bag, and he starts pulling stuff out, about 20 different things,
right.
including a car jack. Right?
Brilliant.
And that one has touched somewhere about 2.5 million views.
Yeah.
And that's what's driving people to become our subscribers. We've got 7,500 so far, I think.
Yeah.
I might be wrong, but it's around that figure.
Right. And what's that called? What's that? Is that a link on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on our YouTube channel, JJ Filmworks.
Yeah.
You'll find it's all segmented, the content into various categories. you've got playlists. If you go to playlists,
Yeah.
then you'll see all the categories there and the videos. We've got about 148 or 150
Wow.
videos.
Okay, I'll have a look.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
There's trailers for our film. And the last one we did was based on a poem by Edgar Allan Poe.
Right.
If you know any of his work, it's called A Dream Within a Dream.
Right. I know the name Edgar Allan Poe, but I have to confess to not really knowing his work. So you referred earlier, and I'll cut this out if you don't want it in the interview. When you were telling us about how you got to where you are, you brushed over very quickly, and for a period of time, I got into a bit of bother. Are we allowed to pick you up on that?
The reason why I got into bother came apparent in 1996. I mean, this is going back 1980. So 16 odd years after that, the incident and stuff, right? And I didn't do anything bad. I didn't beat people up. I didn't rob anybody or anything like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? But what I did deserved what I got, right? Okay. There was money on the table, you know, involved and stuff. It's right. And I mean, I'm going to let people guess what I did. Right. And if somebody's really inquisitive, they can ask me and I'll tell them.
Okay.
Right. Okay. But the reason I ended up in trouble with the law was because of my character, not my personality, my character. And that my character was defined and realized the source of it, the source of my character, right, was diagnosed in 1996.
Yeah.
And then I was able to reflect back on the past, right, and say, why did I do those things that I did? Because they sound totally crazy, what I did, right? Placing your trust in somebody that you're ready to give up your life for them. You understand? Why the hell did I do that? You know, all right, I knew them and blah, blah, grew up with them, but to place so much trust on somebody that your liberty's at stake.
Yeah.
You know, and through receiving the diagnosis and spending some time in hospital, I was able to look back at everything that I'd done up to that point and put it in perspective and say, it wasn't my fault. You didn't know at the time. Nobody knew, right? Nobody knew. And that's why you did the things you did, you know? So there comes a point in everybody, some trauma, some trauma occurs, right? Which is usually caused by stress, because nobody goes out looking for trouble, right? Caused by stress, family, work, whatever. And that results in them in reaching a point of reflection, right? And then when they realize how to put it into perspective, then they can move on and not make those same mistakes. So from 1996 up to the present time, which is what,
2020.
Yeah, 24 years ago, my life is completely different.
Yeah.
Completely different. I've been able to keep those tendencies in check and so forth, right? And to be able to progress to a stage where, I mean, my life is under my control. Right? My life is under my control. Okay, I do what I want with whoever I want, and that's it, you know? And money isn't always the issue. And I think from my perspective, because this is for people above 50 plus, right? The 50 plus crowd, is that you've got to reflect on where you've been and where you're going to go and try not to make the same mistakes you did 50 years previously.
You
know? Because there's a saying, there's no fool like an old fool. Right? There's no fool like an old fool. In other words, you should have learned from your mistakes.
Exactly.
You know? Otherwise, you're a fool. That's what you are.
But it's like you said, in a lot of cases, it's when it's triggered by a trauma and a period of reflection. But at some point, you do realize you are in control. It's all in your mindset, it's not the fault of the government or the economy, or I'm from a broken home, or, well, I was very poor as a child. That isn't an excuse. You are in control.
Yeah.
And that continues until you till you die. It doesn't matter whether you're 25 or 85. You shouldn't be restricted by, well, I'm a grandma, I
Age.
can't do that now. Of course you can blink and
No.
do it. If you want to do it and you're physically able to do it, you can do it.
That's my wife's attitude. Because I say to her sometimes, I can't do this, love. I'm 61. He says, you what? Says, don't you believe? Because at the very beginning, when we met so many years ago, I said to you that as far as I'm concerned, we're never going to age. We're never going to grow old. You know, we're forever going to stay young.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And she reminds me of that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's definitely all in the mind. So, do you have any parting message? Oh, I'll tell you what I want to ask you, that I always ask my guests. If you met the teenage Taraq now, and he could see you, you could see him, what do you think he would say? Yeah, I'm proud that we did that. Is there anything that you think he might say, I wish we hadn't gone that route?
I think that the proudest thing really comes from the fact when I became a father. And I've got 4 absolutely amazing kids, 2 boys and 2 girls, right? And my wife is pissed off with them because none of them look like her. They all look like me.
And they're all over the world, weren't you saying?
All over the world, yeah.
And is there anything that the teenage Taraq might have thought?
I just tell him, live your life best as you can.
Yeah, live and learn. Yeah,
because knowing what I know is going to get better.
Yeah.
There'll be bad times. We're human beings.
Yeah.
We all fall under, actually, there's not just 7 deadly sins, there's more, right? Okay. And there's not just 10 commandments, there's more commandments, right? But they're the ones that everybody refers to, the 7 deadly sins. And we're all susceptible to them, whatever stage, you know, gluttony, chocolate, right?
Yeah.
You don't need it, but you see it and you want it.
Yeah.
You know, there's your body doesn't need it, but you see it and boing, I gotta have it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's been absolutely lovely talking to you, Taraq.
You've taken me back to the past, made me think when I was a teenager, when I was at school and stuff. I've talked about the bad points in my life, skimmed over them, nothing specific, because I don't think there's any good me telling you what I actually did. As long as I say it wasn't this, this, and this, right? You know, I wasn't a mass murderer or blah, blah, or abused anybody or anything, you know? And it's something that people would love to do themselves, what I did.
Now you've made us want to know. Well, that's it. You shouldn't be defined by your past, and it's in the past, isn't it? So, but yeah, it's been interesting talking to you.
No, actually, just to give you another hint, another clue as to what I did, it's what people say when they don't have enough money.
Right.
I wish I could.
Oh, okay. I know what you did. Yeah.
Right. But without any ding ding bang bang, none of that stuff, you know. But the thing is, the reason I mentioned it is because that slate is clean now. It's not even on my record. It's wiped, finished with. You know, it's only for me to actually disclose it to people.
Yeah.
You know,
I will say thank you very much, Taraq, for your time. Fantastic. What a lovely man. We chatted for 1 hour, 10 minutes, so you just got the edited highlights there. The link to his film, Strictly Salsa, The Beginning, is in the show notes, along with his production company's YouTube channel. Now, drum roll please. The winner of Stephen Williams' book Bin Day and Other Poems for Dad is Jen Carter. Well done. Please contact me with your postal address. Either send an email to marsha@gurglit.com or direct message me on Facebook. And the links for everything are in the show notes. Do it quickly so that I can make sure the book gets to you before Father's Day. And thank you for engaging with us. Next week's Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus will be brought to you by the letter B. Look out for more detail on our Instagram and Facebook pages, and I'll see you then. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, share and review on Apple Podcasts or YouTube. And do join us again next week for another episode. The Directory of a Dream Life 50 Plus podcast is brought to you by our sponsor, Organic Secrets UK Limited. Learn more at www.organicsecrets.co.uk. If you enjoyed today's show, catch up on all episodes at www.directoryofadreamlife.com.